Hi, I'm Greg Dell with the law firm of attorneys Dell and Schaefer, and today I'm here with attorney Stephen Jessup. How are you today?
Doing well, Greg. Thank you.
And today we're going to talk about bipolar disorder as probably one of the most common, or I would say within the top 5 of the most disabling conditions that we see in both short-term and long-term disability insurance claims. So, Steve, I know you've worked on a lot of claims with people with bipolar. What are some of the common challenges that you see from the disability carriers when someone presents a claim with bipolar?
I think one of the biggest problems that you're going to see in bipolar itself is it's marked a lot of times classically by very extreme manic episodes and then depressive. So there's peaks and valleys, and a lot of times there's even periods where it's not really affecting. So they're able, while maintained on medication, they're able to go about their normal daily life and work. So the issue becomes sometimes when insurance carriers are reviewing it is whether or not they're experiencing anything that would prevent them from working. You'll see, well, you've been able to work for X amount of years without a problem. Well, what's changed? And a lot of times when you do get into the medical records, you'll find that there was some event that may have occurred that caused one of the episodes, and a swing one way or another. But I think you find just typical with a lot of the mental health claims is this idea that your complaints are somewhat subjective. You've been fine for an amount of time, so what's changing? What's making it impossible for you to work?
I think that's the biggest hurdle that I have to get over when I've helped people with this condition of bipolar is that they say, look, you didn't just wake up with the bipolar, you've had it either for a year, 2 years, 3 years, maybe the better part of your life, and why now can't you work? And what I find that's not fair that the disability insurance companies do a lot is say, well, it's a subjective condition, and so we had your file looked at by this doctor or this nurse, and we don't think you can work. So, what do you recommend in terms of for a claimant to be able to have a strong claim to present if somebody has bipolar?
I think the biggest thing is always going to go back into the documentation with the medical records, whether it be a psychologist, a psychiatrist, a therapist, just letting them know what the issues are you're having. If there is a manic episode that you're not letting your doctor know about, or an extreme depressive one, and you're just going, filling prescriptions, whatever the case may be, if it's not being documented, there's something going on, the insurance company is always going to look and say, well, it's status quo. If you're not telling the psychiatrist that you're experiencing certain, increase in symptoms, they're not going to adjust your medication. And as you know, with these mental health claims, one of the first things they look for is if there was an adjustment in medication that would signify that there must have been some change in the status and the condition.
I think a lot of the things, for just a few pointers for people with bipolar, and of course once a claimant contacts us and we help them work through their claim, is that problem areas are a doctor's not properly documenting the complaints that the patient's telling them. The patient is not treating enough with whether it's the right specialist between a psychiatrist, psychologist, or just not going at all. The other thing I see is that the patient isn't complying with their medications, and then these things end up getting written in the report, and the carrier says, you're not doing everything that you can do in order to help get yourself better. So, that's just a few of the short end things. And the other thing that's disturbing is that the disability carrier will do video surveillance of someone with bipolar. And the claimant with bipolar may think that they don't leave their house, or may think that they can never do anything enjoyable, and they tell the disability carrier, well, I stay in bed all the time, and then they're on video going to the grocery store, maybe taking their child to school, which you can still do and be disabled, and the carrier is like, well, you're telling us things that are inconsistent.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that you touched upon, which is very important with bipolar as opposed to like a major depression, most of the time when I review medical records that's leading up to someone filing or having issues, you usually see where they stop taking the medication. They stop seeking the treatment. There seems to be more of an incidence with non-compliance with the treatment just by the nature of the conditions. So, if you're watching this and you're someone whose, loved one has bipolar and there's concerns with their job and the occupational thing, these are things you need to be aware of too, because the insurance company is always going to attack that. And it's something that does happen more common, it seems, with the bipolar patients.
And I think the other thing that we see is that if you don't have an experienced treating physician, that either the claimant is misdiagnosed, meaning they're being diagnosed as depression, anxiety, other types of mental nervous disorders, and never even given the diagnosis of bipolar, or the other way around. They are given a bipolar disorder, and it's not really bipolar, and that's what we see. Also, the disability carriers will argue, well, you don't really meet the classifications of bipolar. So, it really gets technical when you file claims for a condition of bipolar, any of the mental nervous conditions, and what makes it so difficult is the fact that almost the entire psychiatric world of medicine is subjective. There's no machine to plug up to your heart, your brain, or whatever and say, you have this condition. So that leaves a lot of ammunition for the disability carrier, but also, if handled properly, you as the claimant also have a lot of ammunition to bring back against the disability company. So if you have a claim for bipolar or any mental nervous disorder, give us a call. We'll review your policy, discuss what the issue is. We always offer a free initial phone consultation, and we're available at any time to speak with you.